What's up, everybody? First off, I'd like to say it's Thanksgiving, and I'm happy, man. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. I got a special YouTube video I'm going to make today for everybody just to give back to you guys, to show some thanks for the community. You guys support me. I love it. You guys definitely help me out, and I'm trying to help you out as much as I can as well. I want to talk about arena defense and TOA racing. Two things that and arena offense. So two things that are arguably the only things that have leaderboards in the game, right? So really, to some people, it's the only thing that actually matters. Everything else is just whatever, PvE or casual. So first, I want to talk about arena offense. Get this question every day, and it's been a while that I needed to make a video to kind of tell you guys what to do about offense, how to answer offense. Well, there's no answer to offense. You need to feel it out, and you know what's good for you, for your rune qualities. But typically, will runes on your attackers, will runes on units that are going to get CC'd and stop your combos. Units like Lure, units like Megan, or units like Tiana or Galleon, very similar as well, just kind of like that. That's what I use Megan and Lure for, is a pseudo Tiana or Galleon. Those units are typically always going to have will on them because they cannot be stopped on round one. If they get stopped on round one, it's over, right? So will runes are you need them now. You have to make that necro team if you want to keep advancing forward. It's not an option. You really have to get there. Also, on your main attackers, you're going to see a lot of main attackers. People are going to be running will runes on their heavy damage dealers because they can't get stunned. If they get stunned, match is over. If they get cooldown, match is over. If they get debuffed, match is over for some people that can't dispel. The people that don't have Tiana, it's going to go way longer than normal. And the goal is to speed clear. And how do you enable the speed clear? What does the enemy have? You got to know what they have. You got to expect what they're going to do as well. You got to know, do they have will runes? Are they going to run Nemesis? Things like these can be dead giveaways to how you can approach speed clearing. If they have Nemesis runes, you can't come up in there with a unit that's going to deal most of their HP. You need to do all of their HP or stop them from comboing or retaliating with their Nemesis. If they don't have threats, then fine, that's different. But if they do have threats, like a Praha, for example, that's on Nemesis, you don't want to go up in there with a Lucian. You don't want to bring your Lucians in there. What's that going to do? You want to go up in there to a Nemesis kind of user and bring an AoE defense break. A lot of players are opting into AoE defense break and then heavy AoE blunt damage, something like a Fiery Breath, something like Julie. I've been working on this Julie for a while now. Anything that can hit really hard. Now, let's say they don't have any dispels, they don't have any immunities. You can opt into something like a Bomber AO. Which, honestly, if you go and look at my last AO, I was just using a Bomber AO not too long ago to get through somebody's defense. There are certain people that you just have to swap out defenses for. You've got to have a large array of tools nowadays in order to deal with everybody, or you have to have very key monsters I want to say Tiana is one of them. Tiana is this universal, jack of all trades kind of tool. It just sets you up. It's kind of like a Bernard and an automatic Praha all in one. So it's just a roll condenser. It has its own defense break, has wind damage. I'm talking a lot about these end game meta units too, but this is offense. This is just how it is. You need to be able to decipher what you got to do for your play in order to speed clear. You can't be thinking about slow clears anymore. If you can't speed clear somebody, don't think about how you can beat them, because you're gonna beat them. You're gonna figure out how to beat them, right? Figure out how you can beat them fast, and that's where this game gets hard. Always try to think about beating your opponent fast. Think about, how can I beat them before they move? How can I beat them right after they move without them beating me first? Now, the problem is AoE dispellers, and I'm going to get to that later on defense when I talk about defense, but the will runes don't block AoE dispellers, so you're going to have to make up for that. Something like a very fast Bernard or an Orion can help out with that. A very fast Orion. Mine's on Violent for Guild Wars. some people might think that's fast, but I think that's just god awfully slow. But there's a lot of different options you can use to gauge buff to manipulate your whole team to go around one. Units like Leo work really well. Units like Leo and Megan, and then AoE damage, and another like AoE damage dealer works really well because of how the gauge works. You know, you give 20% overcharge gauge, and you do some fluffer damage to them. They're not getting 20% of their gauge through Nemesis, and then you could slap them in the face really hard after that and kill everybody else. And then they procced a little bit of Nemesis, but not 20%. So as long as you deal like 10, 20, 30% of their HP, they're not going to gain 20% gauge through their Nemesis. So same thing as like, let's talk about Megan Leader, Leo, double Lucian. That's an option. Now you might think that's countered by Nemesis on like Chasun, Nemesis on like Praha, Nemesis on Bella, but it's not. That is a hard counter to those Nemesis healers as well. You gauge buff and you get 20% overcharge, and you use boxes on the first turn. Even if you crit, you're not going to deal enough damage to proc 20% Nemesis for them to steal your next Lucian's turn. Now you did fluffer damage, is what I would like to call it, and you warmed up for your next Lucian. You have your heavy hitting, hardest hitting Lucian last, and then you blow them up. You finish them off completely. Now, that's the deal, is like, if you want to run like a Leo AO, there's so many different AOs you can run, and so much you can come into, like start speed clearing people, but you have to pay attention to the enemy's defense, and you do have to avoid people sometimes depending on what you have. Picking you and choosing your fights wisely. Now, you're going to be like, oh, but that's not going to make me get Guardian 3. Well, it's not. You need to attack people that are always consistently higher than you. You always need to keep finding somebody higher than you until you're first place, and then try to find the person that's second, third, fourth, hit those people down, because those people are going to revenge you. Let's be real. They're going to find you. They're going to revenge you. And how do you stop them? You got to win. And that's where defense comes into play. Defense. How do you win defenses? Right now, the meta is so centralized on dispels. Dispels, AoE dispelling, being very fast in order to stop your opponent from attacking you, but that causes in Leos, and recently had this big resurgence of like Leo AOs coming in to global. A lot of Leos, a lot of speed ADs, but how do you stop this? Well, you can stop this like this. How does a Leo attack this? Now, a Swift Megan, the double Lucian strategy, that's going to beat this, right? But if that wasn't a violent Orion, like this is just a theory, if that wasn't a violent Orion and they brought Leo in, they can't do anything. You can't bring Willerins, you can't bring Leo, you can't bring that Megan double Lucian strategy anymore. Now, can they bring Tiana? No. Can they bring Speed Leader Tiana? Potentially. That's a problem, right? If they have a Swift Tiana. But how many people are running that? You know, keep that in mind. There's not that many people that are probably running a Speed Leader and a Tiana, because they're probably running 2 DPS, a Galleon, and a Tiana. Now, there's the argument where there's the Sierra, Bomber, Buffer, Tiana. That AO. Now, that AO is just going to counter like everything that doesn't have a Speed Leader, right? And if that person starts attacking you and you know what they have, you're going to have to switch it up. You know, you're going to have to go something, change the route, and move your defense around. Something like this. So then your Bernard can buff before their Tiana, potentially dispel them, and potentially cool them down. Now, I'm talking very endgame level stuff here. You're going to be like, oh, but Bomber, I don't have Zeros, I don't have Praha. Well, that's the thing, is like, at end game, when you're pushing for rank 1, there's no like, oh, I don't have this, oh, I don't have that. Yeah, it sucks, but you have to make up for that disadvantage. You have to find a niche, find something that's going to work for you. And there's really only like 3 types of defenses that pretty much work right now, in my opinion. There are the fast dispelling, the tank dispelling, and then there's the full-on hardcore, like, bruiser speed meta. Now, everything's speed. Let's be real. Everything is speed, HP, HP pretty much. Like almost everything on defense is going to be speed, HP, HP unless you don't have a healer. Now, what if you want to run a healer, a no healer AO? Or AD. No healer on AD. What can you do? You have to kill your opponent before they move, or before they can respawn with a combo, before that they can, you know, you have to outspeed them. You have to, it's a very technical strategy, and I ran it for a very long time. I ran something like Attack Tyrone on Despair. I ran Verd with Resistance. I ran Swift Bernard, obviously, and I ran Zeros. Doesn't sound like that bad of an AD. It sounds pretty easy, right? You throw a few will runes on, you're good to go. It's no problem, right? But with everything being damaged, you might be able to kill one of their combos, their combo dealers, before they can combo you, and then that forces them into a tank gear style of attack. Now, that's where it comes into play to get like a lower ranking. This is like a lower, like one step down. I started at the highest, I'm moving one step down. This is definitely one notch below. It can get you like G3. I've obtained G3 with this strategy before, but it's mostly because AO speed and my AD was decent against most people, not everybody. It was just decent. Oh, rest in peace, Summoner's War. But what should you be looking for? Most Guardian 3s probably have like a 30 to 40% win rate. Now, until you get to that point, you should probably be concerned about your AD. Now, if you think that you can't do anything about it, you're probably wrong. 9 times out of 10 that I see somebody's AD, and then they're like, oh, but I don't have this, but I don't have that, but I don't have this. That's an excuse. I held so many different rankings with so many different units before. Like, it's just an excuse. You just have to make your defense work for you. You need to think about how you would attack it, how would the general populace attack it, and can you get some wins? Can you tweak it a little bit and get some wins? Can you put Nemesis here? Can you put Will here? Get some wins on this guy? Get some wins on this guy maybe too? You know, thinking about the game that way is what allows you. It is kind of like a motivation sense. This game is, if you don't care, nothing's gonna happen for you, right? You're not gonna get far. You need to make your adjustments. You need to make work on your defense. Now, that's up to you. You can do whatever you want, right? But common defense units that are being used right now that I really don't like, units like Theo, units like Perna. I've been seeing a lot of Theos and a lot of Pernas recently. I'm seeing a lot of Sierras on defense too. But like, I think you guys need to understand that these units don't really work that much in the meta right now. A lot of combo defenses don't work because people attack into you with will. You might not see them defending with will runes because they're probably, you know, trying to do a mixture of things with resistance and nemesis and whatnot. You know, they're doing a whole different strategy on their defense, but they're probably attacking you with will runes. So a Sierra is gonna move because she has speed leader, and she's gonna put a bomb on the will and not do any damage. Perna's, I mean, hello? Perna needed to kill you really fast, and you need a combo for it. Will runes stop combos. It's probably not going to work out that well. How many people are running squishy wind units on their AD? I mean, on their AO? Not that many, from what I've seen at least. I mean, a lot of people use Tiana, but you ain't moving that Perna that fast, you know? Theo. It's the problem with Theo. He dies. He dies in like one hit. Bernard is everywhere. Bernard and Leo's litter the land. And you have to run speed on 2-slot pretty much to make this thing work against anybody. Leo counters speed. Automatically just dissolves Theo Mars in one hit. Bernard, power debuff, and defense break on a Theo. You're out of the game for 2 rounds. You got a violent proc just to get that off and have a chance to stay in the match. And even then, you already just took half of your health on round 1, or you already got killed, you know. What, regardless of what it is, a lot of players are bringing the Megan back out. A lot of players are bringing the Megan back out. Like I was saying earlier when we were talking about AOs, a Megan with a Leo is very meta. A lot of players are using it. And if you guys seen, you know, a lot of the top players that have Leos probably have a Swift Megan. Not, as long as that's what they're using. If they're using that, that's what they're probably using. It alleviates a lot of requirements that you need on the rest of your units. You don't need speed on anybody anymore because you get 120% overcharge on your gauge. You need no speed on anybody. All you need is 2 AoE DPSers, like a double Lucian, or anything really. It could be a Zeros or whatever you want it to be. With maybe a speed leader like a Tyrone and a Zeros, Megan, and a Leo. Boom, done. You know, a Swift Leo. I mean, a Swift Megan. But why does it work so well? You know, because of how ADs are designed. A lot of Theos are running around, a lot of Pernas are running around, a lot of speed comps are running around with like Sierra. Why don't those defenses work? Is because the meta of attack is the way that it is. Now, I don't understand why it's still being used so much yet. I would have figured it'd be dissolving out by now. But people must be afraid of it for some reason, right? They must not be attacking it. I don't know why it should work, but it is a good speed leader. And a lot of people are running like speed metas with that Sierra, so who knows. Now, why is Theo on AD? Why is Theo on AD? Because he can kill you. How do you stop him from killing you? Defense buff. Power break. Dispels. Kills him so fast. What unit does all of that? Or what 2 units does all of that then? You know, I don't know what unit does all of that in one turn. I don't know. Nobody defense buffs, power breaks, defense breaks, dispels. Wait, there's 2 units that do that though. Megan and Bernard. 2 units that are extremely meta right now. We've been talking about Bernard and Megan all night long. Like, this is so meta. If you don't have these units 6-starred, like, I feel bad for you right now because there's so many Theos are running around. There's so many Leos running around. There's so much of everything running around right now that these units excel heavily against. And they've always been good, and they've always should have been built. I've had them for so long. When you look at my units, you can look and see on Giants, and when you look at your units, when you set them up, you can see how, when you've had your units. My 3rd unit I ever had out of all the units I've 6-starred and chose to keep forever was Megan. Megan was like my 2nd or 3rd 6-star. Now, I've had Chloe before everybody. But look at Bernard. I've had Bernard for so long. He's my 6th unit that I had on my list. He's not my 6th 6-star by any means, but he's the 6th unit that I've owned for that long. When you look down the list, I use these units so much, and I've had them since the beginning of the game. I would consider myself somebody that's been having great success in the game for a very long time. I've been having a lot of success in the game. You know, looking at TOA, looking at Arena, looking at like what I've done. These units, they're on a theory craft level, are extremely good. And at a play, like a play test level, they play out even better. They play out so well. It's just these units aren't being utilized to full effect, which makes no sense to me. People don't even, there's so much of the community that doesn't even have a 6-star Bernard. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. I'm not even talking about Giants. I'm just looking through at this point. But when it comes to defense, you know, let's look at a random defense. Alright. What does he have here? He's got single target heals, defense break. He's got dispels. He has cleanses, speed leader, and a Camilla. What makes this defense good? The AoE dispel. If it wasn't there, you could completely do something stupid to this team. Veligil. What could I do to this team? You know, Veligil, you know, his base speed is 95. You can bring in maybe a no speed leader, maybe hoping that he's on violent. You don't know. He's probably got a Nemesis Camilla, but he probably doesn't have a Nemesis Ritesh because Ritesh is so low on base stats. And you might think that I'm joking, but he needs so much. He needs accuracy, he needs crit rate, he needs HP, he needs crit damage, he needs resistance. He needs so much that he probably doesn't have Nemesis on it. If he does, good for him, but he probably has revenge because he needs that ability. What can you do to somebody like this? Well, this is probably a 120 Despair Chiwu. 120 speed. Despair Chiwu. The Veligil is probably speed HP defense or speed HP. But you can go up in there with something like this. Because I know that I'm at 160 speed. He might interrupt my Lucians because I don't run speed Lucians. But you can come in here and take that chance, you know, test it. See if you're able to do it. And I know here I'm going to be able to do it. He doesn't have Nemesis on anything besides Camilla. Speed cleared. Done. Why is that defense bad? He doesn't have response to double Lucians. He's probably running defense on Veligil. Veligil is very low on base speed. Probably shouldn't be used on defense in this kind of a meta that's going on right now because it's highly centric on AoE speed clearing. What can he do to fix it? Maybe bring in a Nemesis Bella. Maybe bring in an Orion. Maybe bring in, you know, who knows? Orion instead of Veligil would be amazing, right? You have more offensive dispel, gauge buff. You'd have Nemesis, a unit that's Nemesis, speed HP, because then you could put it on like Swift Nemesis maybe. And then you'd still be able to have two forms of dispels. You'd have a gauge debuff. Like, you'd have a gauge buff, so you'd be able to give yourself gauge. Maybe CC one of the second Lucians and interrupt as well. Maybe even kill one of the Lucians, actually. Like, maybe even gauge buff the Chiwu in order to dispel the whole team. Now, what other forms of attack would probably hit that? You know, you'd have a million different things that you could hit that. You run Will Tiana with a Galleon and combo, it's over, right? You can't do anything about that. You can't stop it. Unless your Orion was really fast and was able to kill one of the units before they could kill you, stopping their combo, slowing their AO down, or winning even. Like, coming out with a slow roll win, that's amazing for reset night, right? Oh, my bad to you. Randomly just rank 28 right now. What could you do with a defense like this? It's funny, because I'm running Will on my Megan, and there's two fire tanks. You can run the same thing, though. Why? Why? Because they don't have Speed Leader, and they have Chloe. I know that there's not that many people that invest heavily on their Swift sets on Chloe, so I know I'm going to outspeed them, giving 30% overcharge on Gauge right here, giving 50% overcharge on Gauge on my Lucians. There's no way they can Nemesis proc and steal my turn now. There's no way. So there is no chance that my combo will not go off. If I'm killing at least 2 units here, which I did, speed cleared again. What could you do to stop this? Drop Leo, bring like an Orion with a Nemesis. Like, that's why this meta is so heavy on Orion. If you're not using like Orion, or you're not using Nemesis, or if you're not using like a Bernard to like come up and fight these people, like, you're gonna get speed cleared like this. If you're getting speed cleared like this, and I'm sorry if I'm showing you guys this defense on stream. I don't mean to like attack anybody. That's just randomly like what I had after I woke up. I didn't even plan to do this until later after I drank my coffee this morning, because I had extra time before we do Thanksgiving stuff today. But my bad. But that's basically arena defense in a nutshell. This is 24 minutes to kind of tell you guys, get you guys in the mood and like the theorycraft level. Like, there's no answer to defense. You're gonna lose to somebody. Sometime there's always a bigger fish in the sea. There's always a counter to the way you set up. There's no way you can win. The best I've ever heard is like 40% win rate. And that was, I mean, that's like around these modern times in our meta right now is about a 40% win rate. And that's all you can ever shoot for. You get 40%, that's about the best you're going to get, right? Because people are going to attack you if they counter you, and they're going to take that win. Now, I want to talk about TOA racing, and this is just like a special like sneak peek, I guess, because I've done this on stream and told you guys a few times how I TOA race, but that's hard. Normal mode. What can you do to race in TOA normal? You need to know your limits. You need to know your damage potential. You need to know a lot about your comp. But early on stages from about 1 to about 60, usually at an end game level run qualities, at an end game level, tower sense, you don't need a healer. You probably don't need a healer for a long time. So if you want to race, you come up in here and you drop as many slots as you can. You bring a power leader for attack power, more damage, faster clears. You bring in AoE damage, more AoE damage, more AoE damage, and maybe some just normal damage. That's like finisher. I know that my Sig is slow. He's 103 speed, so I want anything that's faster than that. More AoE damage. Let's see how fast the solution is. 108 speed, so he's going to go before him. Just going to move that over. For gauge distribution, because gauge does... your position does matter for how gauge is distributed. Now, that's a lot of units. And you might not have them. So, what would you do if you didn't have Illusion? Take it out. Run like this. I did this, and I placed so well with just 4 units. Now, one might even say that 1 less unit might increase the models to load faster. Now, this is where TOA racing comes into play big time too, is early on stages, you can't pick your abilities this fast. It's impossible. Like, this game picks the abilities like 2 or 3 times faster than you can. Paying attention, going to next stage as fast as you can, just allows you to race better, right? So, you cannot manual play this early part as fast as it can potentially autoplay it. Until you get to a point where it punishes you for not using AoEs. Now, I usually see that happen around like 30s to 40s. In the 30s to 40s, I'm going to just show you guys the 40s. I usually see that during the race, it's better to rotate your cooldowns around this part, where you'll know that you'll have what's up when it's up, right? Now, I didn't rotate my cooldowns correctly because I could have cleared that faster. I could have cleared that in 2 abilities instead of 4 or 5 or whatever it took. Now, you guys seen a mistake. You've seen why you need to rotate your abilities. Now watch, like when you do it correctly, you're going to open up. Cards are boxes. Cards are boxes. But it's 1 card, 1 box is usually what I combo with. It doesn't matter which one you do it in, because it absolutely doesn't matter at all. But then you get down to the last one, kill it. Now look what I just did there. I pressed play. It's because it picks your abilities faster, but then right before it finished, I pressed pause. So at the beginning of the next floor, I can manual it without an accidental ability going off. Now A lot of times I open up with cards on the first wave, and then boxes. Then I open up with boxes, then I go cards. To rotate the cooldowns. So then, oh, that Lucian's not max skilled, so I have it out of order right now. I have one Lucian that's max skilled and one Lucian that's not. And that's a misplay too on my end. I have to remember that. That's why before it worked and this time it didn't work. It would have been a little bit faster. I could have shaved a few seconds there if I would have played it better. Now, something that would be luxurious would be remembering that your faster Lucian, because I did make changes, your fastest Lucian, or my fastest Lucian, has max skills. Or doesn't have max skills on his third ability, which is the one that matters. So, my second one needs to use cards first. My first one needs to use boxes first, so then I can have cards up at the end. And boom. I just shaved time there by manual playing it the correct way. Now, this is near the 40s, maybe 35 and up. You might notice that when you start choosing your abilities, that's where it's perfect for you to start climbing. That's where I gain a huge advantage, is around this stage. Around this point in time, I can go all the way up to like even high floors like around here, where I sub in Megan and Bernard instead at around like 70-ish. It depends on how it's getting hard. When it's getting hard, I need more oomph, this is where I start to put in more speed and more attack power. So I need speed and attack power buff in order to do these higher floors. And I remembered that I need to do boxes first on my first Lucian, and then I need to do cards. And I need to switch that for TOA actually, because that's a problem. Then I have a 5-turn cooldown here, which is going to get 1 turn cooldown, 2 turn cooldown from the next turn, and then 3 turn cooldown, 4 turn cooldown. So it's not going to be up in time for the boss. So I'm using Rain of Fire instead. So you got to remember that you got to look at your cooldowns, look at the units you have. For me, it's Zeros. For you, it could be anything else. You know, now this next stage, I'm not gonna have Flame Breath up, and I'm gonna have to remember that. I could have Violent Procced and maybe got the cooldown back, but I know this stage. I don't need Flame Breath for it. I just need AoE damage. I need enough AoE damage in order to bring it out. I got all of my main abilities out. You just press play after that. You let it go because it's faster, regardless of what could happen. It's just faster, right? Done. I speed cleared this almost as fast as the 40s, almost as fast as the other floors as well. So as long as you can speed clear every single level, you're going to be able to place, you're going to be able to know what to do. You know, knowing your limits, knowing which floors you struggle on, knowing on which rotations you struggle on. And I recently just made PvP changes to my Lucians, so I would have to change them back. I haven't tested them that much yet for TOA. Also, my more powerful Lucian is slower, which is a problem. Because, well, it's good because I was talking about AO earlier. You want your powerful Lucian coming in second, because then you box, and then you slap them as hard as you can with your powerful Lucian. My Despair Lucian has better subs all around the board. He does a lot more damage. Even though you might think this better crit rate, better crit damage, that attack's way better. I'm running over 300, about 300 bonus attack on this Lucian. That's a lot of extra damage when you multiply it all through the roads. That doesn't add up to the 30 crit rate. You just do the math on your own end to try to figure it out. It's not that much extra damage, but it's a little bit more. And when you look at this, ideally, like, what could be the problem? Well, this second Lucian could get stunned by like a Nemesis proc if they interrupt my turn a little bit, right? Well, you could throw Will on this too. But if you had Leo, probably wouldn't need it. You'd have a 50% gauge buff or a 20% gauge buff. You wouldn't proc their Nemesis, right? If you're fighting Leos too, you wouldn't proc their Nemesis as well. So I do, however, need to max this. As you've seen, that this one skill up right here did make me lose a little bit of time, which could make up in the end. If you do that a few times, you know, that's like a couple minutes maybe. You might even fail a floor, who knows. I've wiped on floors many times during races. But up to 35 minutes, dang. That is my Thanksgiving special. Thank you guys for watching. I got a quick shout out to make here, I guess. Over on my stream, I stream on Twitch every day. This is my main platform. I rarely make YouTube videos. I do once in a while for like events or something special, once in a while like this. And I would like to let you guys know that for the next 13 days, I have a Bomb Squad t-shirt available on Twitch. If you guys come over here and check this out, this is what it looks like. It's got the Twitch TV, Omgbomber at the back. You got Twitch on the arm. I think it's pretty sick. Comes in a lot of different colors. And you can get like a hoodie, different colors as well. And then there's even a woman's shirt you can get as well. If you're a chick and you want to rep the Bomb Squad. And as well, if you get it, I'm doing this because they offered every shirt that you get comes with a Santa Kappa sticker. So check that out if you guys haven't. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. I appreciate it all. I appreciate all the subscribers, all you guys that have been coming out every single day. I stream. Down here is my schedule. I stream every single weekday from Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. Central Time. I start at 5 right after they come to a stream on Friday, and then I start at 6 p.m. Central Time on weekends, on Saturday and Sundays. So come check me out over on Twitch if you guys haven't already. I stream all the time, 7 days a week, about 8 to 10 or more hours usually a day, unless there's like an event or a holiday or something going on. But I appreciate you guys watching this video, staying here for a whole 37 minutes. Hope you guys learned something. I hope I taught you guys something. And if you guys have any requests for like a longer video like this in the future, this one was requested many times for AOAD and TOA Racing, so just request them on my stream, request them in the comments below or whatever. I appreciate everything. Signing off. Have a good day, guys. Peace. Have a good Thanksgiving.